There's a young Chromatic somewhere in the making. May not look like you, talk like you. Um, what's one piece of advice you would give that young person who's trying to follow your path?
Man, I mean, it's a typical answer. Just know that you never stop learning and always seek to learn.
A P. Yeah, yeah. They Mr. owe me like Aaron, what happened? I can't go backwards. This my new chapter. Move to Atlanta, them trappers and scammers. I pray for my youngins. You talking about practice? On the track, I go ape like bananas.
Peace, 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 beautiful family. This is Dr. Walter Hidalgo, and this is the Know That Show podcast. The Know That Show podcast utilizes the metaphor of the shelf in order to extrapolate the self. And the way we do that is we invite guests to come in and share something about themselves. And before I introduce my guests, go to www.knowthyself.tv to find out all of our information, including our most recent episodes, to get a copy of my book, Beyond the Four Walls, The Rise in Ministry and Spirituality of Hip Hop, as well as information about our home coaching services and the workshops. The next thing we always do is I like to always give a big shout out to a group of individuals. And today, I want to give a big shout out to all my people from the Caribbean, especially from the Twin Islands, Trinidad and Tobago. Big up. What a special place, man. My daughter's half Dominican, so the Caribbean is in my heart. You know what I mean? I want to give a shout out to all of my emcees, people that move the crowd, the masters of ceremony, right? I want to give a big shout out just to all my artists, anybody who's taken the time to create, because like God created us, we're called to be the co-creators, man. So keep creating, family. I want to give a big shout out to all my entrepreneurs. There's a reason they call it the spirit of entrepreneurship, because there's a spirituality associated to entrepreneurship, because it shows you who you really are, what you're made out of. Because I got somebody here that I respect, I admire, I'm so proud of. My brother from another Chromatics, yo.
Blessings.
Shout out.
How you doing, King?
I'm doing well, my brother. I'm happy to see you. As I set off this camera thing, that I'm excited because me and you go back. It's been quite some time. And I've been following you, seeing the work that you're doing. It's just amazing, and this is just another book, so to speak, coming out of the shelf, because our audience is going to get to know a little bit about who Chromatics is. You feel me? So as we always do, I like to contextualize things. Have you ever seen that movie Back to the Future?
Yeah, of course.
Right? Classic. Let's say we were to jump into that vehicle today and go back in time to a younger Chromatics. What would we see? What would we smell? What would we hear? Because you are from
Trinidad and Tobago.
Yo, we here. Talk to us about that.
If you were to go back in time, I mean, man, you'll just see a very young, naive music lover, who is just getting any opportunity to experience, touch, taste, and feel music in any way. I mean, I started going to concerts when I was like 14 years old. See the Fugees, started DJing and whatnot, like around 16. But started writing and expressing myself way before that, even way before all these things. And I don't know how it happened, but, well, I do know how it happened. I mean, my cousin introduced me to hip-hop in like late 80s, early 90s. And we were always creative together. We would sit down on my aunt's table and draw and X-Men comic books, and we would draw the characters and Spider-Man and actually not trace it, but look at it and then reference it and then draw our own things. We would make our own comic books. So we were always, since kids, we were always just creative. And then when this music thing came around, we were always exposed to music. Both our older brothers played instruments, played guitar, sang. So this creative bug was just always in our family. But it was when he really migrated to the US and then came back after a few years that he introduced me to this thing called hip hop. And it had been gradually penetrating the Trinidad and Tobago market as more radio stations, and we started to get like cable channels. So we were seeing and hearing everything that was coming out of the US. And yeah, there's things like people like Naughty by Nature, Tribe Called Quest, Rakim, was sort of penetrating our atmosphere. Queen Latifah, Pete Rock, CL Smooth, that kind of era, early 90s, later 80s. It was just around. But when he came back and he was like, yo, this is the thing, and he started writing rhymes and just invited me, it was just like another step in our expression of creativity. You know what I mean? And I just fell in love with it from day one, from then on. And it's the hip-hop's freedom of expression. I don't think it really existed in a lot of other genres. I mean, a lot of other genres were the freedom of expression was there, but sometimes in a more abstract sense, not in a literal sense. And hip hop was very literal, talking about the actual things you see and experience around you. So that really, really related with me and my spirit, and that was that.
And you're saying so much because I want to get back to the hip hop thing, but I still want to come back to Trinidad. Right? What's one big misconception for non-Trinidadians that you want to share? Because I've been there, right? And we all have stigmas and we all have kind of generalizations, but what do you know as someone born and bred and who's also a traveler, so you've seen the world too? What's one big misconception people have about Trinidad or the Twin Islands?
That we're Jamaican.
Facts.
No, but I mean, I think that has come a long way. I mean, that is something that used to be a thing. It's like, oh, I know Jamaica. Where you from? You song, thing. But was a misconception, but I don't think there's a lot of, aside from that, I don't think there's a lot of misconceptions. We deep down in our core, we are happy people. We love to party, we love to lime, and lime is like chill, hang out, talk shit. I don't know if I could curse on this.
It's all good.
Right? Yeah, man. We are very relaxed people. Let me put it like that. When we're ready. But I'll be frank. I find like of late, I think the rat race has really got into the psyche of Trinidad and Tobago people in a big way. Just to compete for survival. The way things going. But all in all, we are very laid back, relaxed people. Cool, and for the most part.
Yeah, no, that's interesting that you're saying, because I think, Chromatics, you are absolutely right, and it's not an isolated thing. That whole rat race thing is everywhere, and I think with the digitization of the world and social media, because of the exposure, you're like, yo, this person's doing well, this person's doing that, and then we start comparing maybe I'm not doing enough, and the famous line that Nas says, sleep is the cousin of death. You know what I mean? But we also understanding if we're not getting enough sleep, it affects our health.
I
You're
think,
going there, right?
I think sleep is the cousin of life, yes? Shit, I can put that in a rhyme.
This is why we're here. This is why we're here. Chromatic, I want to go a little deeper because it's a good layup. What's interesting about Trinidad, my background, I'm a socio-theologian. I look at things systemically, socially, and that's another thing that had captured my attention about you. Because when you were giving me the tour, this is how this is. You gave me the politics of this side. You were really what's the state of Trinidad right now? I mean, last time I saw you years later, I mean, what's something that is really, because I know you're politically engaged, you even use that sometimes in your rhymes to create a state of awareness. But, is this something that you want to speak on specifically that the world needs to know? I can't just say the U.S.
No, I mean, I just think economically things are getting very, very, very hard in Trinidad. And I think it's that. I mean, we can blame all factors, governmental factors, societal factors, whatever. But I think it stems to that. A lot of people are just taking for granted the beauty of this island and the things that are afforded to us. We always think the grass greener on the other side. And sometimes we don't take the opportunity. We so running down chasing a goal or chasing quote unquote success that we're not seeing the beauty and the success around us. You know what I mean? And I think we kind of get trapped in that, just from a social point of view. Everybody trying to compete, and competition is good in certain instances, but I mean, I think we just need to get back. It's almost like I find myself being caught in it, and I have to take a step back and then look around and like, damn,
all of us.
You know what I mean? When I see what's happening to our people. But I mean, once again, it's a beautiful island, beautiful twin islands, Trinidad and Tobago. But modernization and industrialization brings these things on. We just had to, get back in touch with the spirituality of this nation. We are very spiritual people. When I say that, there's an energy about Trinidadians, Trinbagonians. You know what I mean? And I think we just need to kind of remember that and stay grounded in that. In who we are.
I love what you just said there. I love it. I can't even agree more. And just so everybody knows, one of the ways, the way I connected with Chromatics was because, well, first of all, online. I find you online.
Yeah.
Like, this dude is dope. And, as I shared with my listeners and watchers, is that, it was Hip Hop and Spirituality, evolved to 73 to Infinity, and now Know That Shelf. And the focus a lot was on hip hop. So one of the ways I connected with Chromatics was through hip hop, because you came to Brooklyn for an event. I think it was an MC battle joint, or do you remember what it was? It was something you did in Brooklyn. And we
it was a team backpack cipher kind of vibe. Yeah.
Yes. And then we met up with you there. We chopped it up, and then I flew myself to Trinidad to connect with you. You gave me the tour. I met with a lot of amazing people, like Brave Boy. That's the one that comes to my shout out. DJ, what is it? Pun? Is it Pun? Yes, shout out. I'm still following all those dudes.
And and like Pun is like the biggest DJ out of Trinidad and Tobago right now. You know what I mean? Pushing a genre of music for one called Trinidad, which is basically Trinidad and Tobago dancehall music, which has over the past years taken the world by storm in terms of like a huge impact on dancehall music, Trinidad dancehall, aka Trinidad. You know what I mean? And that's my brother, that's my baby brother, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out. I want to continue on this hip hop thing, higher infinite power healing our people, as KRS One says, right? Hip hop is, according to mainstream, 50 now, right? There's been a lot of conversations circulating as to the exact time, who the exact pioneers. I don't know if you've been tapping into this. It's been very interesting. I think now, because more voices are being resurfaced,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of this stigma saying that, oh, hip hop started in the South Bronx. Actually, technically, when you go to 1520 Cedric Avenue in the Bronx, that's actually more like Northwest Bronx. So geographically, we're a little bit off, right? Did Kool Herc, was he one of the first DJs, or were there already many DJs beforehand? It's just that party got a little bit more recognition on August 11th, 1973, right? But even within the United States, I understand that, you know, hip hop from New York is a little different from down south than the drill in Chicago. You know, the sound in LA is a little different, right? But it's still all hip hop. But we know hip hop has evolved, has, you know, remixed, has blended in with different genres. One of my favorite was hip hop reggae, when we used to sample like Buju on a hip hop beat, right? But I think it's also important that people understand their hip hop global history.
Mm-hmm.
How did hip hop come to Trinidad and Tobago, right? There's so many bridges, but more importantly, Chromatics, because as someone that is a legend, I think at this point, even you're an OG legend, like someone who has respected, even the dude when I stayed at the Airbnb, right? When I took a picture and posted on IG that I was with you, he hit me up. He was like, yo, you were with Chromatics? That dude's a legend. He's like, do you know that? I was like, yeah, I know that. Talk to us about Trinidadian hip hop, but more importantly, like we shouted out DJ Pun, Brave Boy, and others, throw some names out there. Throw some like pillar names of hip hop Trinidad history that we should know.
Oh, definitely. So I'll give that all in the context of a story, I guess, a storyline. And so I think how hip hop really got itself introduced to Trinidad is almost the same situation when I was talking about my cousin. Family members that would have flew out or migrated to the US, New York in particularly, would send back tapes. You know what I mean? And mix tapes, and that's how it kind of started to penetrate the psyche of those in digesting music. And then, as I said, like the radio stations, although there wasn't dedicated urban radio stations, certain music used to penetrate. You know, bigger hip hop records in the 80s that would have made its way onto pop charts, like 102 or whatever. So that's kind of how it got influenced anything. But I always draw this analogy, and a lot of people don't know it. Coming out of the Black Panther, Black Power movement in the US in the late 70s into early 80s, well, in the 70s rather, into the 80s. And when you look at that mentality or that sort of birth hip hop in the US, oddly enough, we were going through the same thing in Trinidad and Tobago with what we call the Black Power movement around the same time period. And in that same time period, a genre in Trinidad was born called rapso, which is essentially Trinidad and Tobago hip hop. It's spoken word, rhythmic spoken word over beats that deals with a lot more than just dance and party. I mean, it does all of the above, right? And it started off with can't remember the dude's name right now, but a lot of founding artists. One in particular being Brother Resistance, who was a legend in rapso music. And then as the things started to get a little more popularized, more hip-hop oriented groups and artists and DJs started to go out there and sort of mimic what they were hearing, not just locally but internationally. So people, there's the Rock Crush crew, Big C, of course, someone who we call the godfather of hip-hop in Trinidad and Tobago, DJ Just Jace, the only DJ from Trinidad to ever be featured on Rap City's The Basement. He started off originally as a rapper in the 80s, and of course went on to become one of the bigger DJs in the island still to this day. And then in the 90s, groups like Dredgen, Gatorians, Kindred, that were all mixing hip hop with rap, so because they're both very the same thing essentially, right? Those of and Sister Run, big up Sister Run as well. Those are all
big up to the ladies too. I know they're in there too, Chromatics. Yep.
Yes. Shout out to Sister Run. I mean, there was a record label at the time, early 90s, called Kiss Kitty Caravan, that was sort of investing in youth and a lot of younger artists, and these are the groups that came out of it. As I'm saying, Gatorians, Sister Run, etc., Kindred, and then there was also Dredgen. Dredgen was a group that I think they did something different in terms of they actually used to host hip hop events where you can come and hear hip hop all night long, and that was not happening anywhere at the time. I remember I was writing exams in school like a teenager, and I wanted to go. So I used to go to school in Central Trinidad, what they call Chaguanas, right? And you would see these flyers for this hip hop party all over the town. You know what I mean? And I wanted to go, but I couldn't go because I was doing exams or whatever. Flash forward to the next year, it came and event came around again, and I went out to it, and it was just amazing. It was just amazing energy because hip hop at that time was such a niche thing. It wasn't, the global entity that it is today. And so it was almost like our private thing. It was like, this select group of people was just there to just vibe and off of like minds understood that we were there together and enjoying this thing that we don't really get the opportunity to enjoy as much. But yeah, and there were also, rest in peace to an artist called Seth Gaines, who at the time was called Vernacular. He was one of the younger artists whose songs actually really got onto radio and whatnot, and created, they inspired others. They inspired others like myself to, go forth and pursue this thing, Yeah.
That's dope. That's beautiful. And I want to go back to something that you said, still sticking to hip hop. That, is interesting to me because I want you to kind of extrapolate on it, and that is because you're surrounded in a big energy, the island, soca's big, obviously in Trinidad. There were a lot of ways and routes that you could have gone. Like you said, some of the music tends to be a little abstract or maybe too party-ish, right? But as you said, hip hop became more of a commentary thing, and you diverted, I guess, or decided to go, no, I got Rakim that influenced me. I got these other kind of artists that what we call conscious rap or more political, whatever that means. But you went down that route. Was that a conscious decision? What kind of pushback you got, and what made you go down that route? Because you could have easily just been followed the wave, so to speak, the Trinidadian wave.
No, but as I was saying before, I think what attracted not just myself but a lot of younger people at that point in time is that, no disrespect to soca and calypso, but they weren't really talking to us now and about us and for us. You know what I mean? Soca music tends to get wrapped up in the festival of Carnival. So a lot of the content in the music is about the festival. It's about the fets, it's about the road, it's about the partying, having a good time, freeing up. It's at the end of the day, it's all about freedom, and freedom of expression, but more in that sort of festival atmosphere. So the music tends to reflect the festival at the time. So outside of that, there wasn't anything that was really talking to us. I mean, aside from, let me say, dancehall music, So that's why dancehall is so big in Trinidad as well.
That's right.
And around that, it's funny that hip hop and dancehall sort of made its impact in Trinidad and Tobago around the same time, late 80s, early 90s.
Right.
I mean, people like Super Cat, Ninja Man.
Yeah, shout out. Super Cat's one of my favorite Chromatics too that you mentioned. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And so they were talking things that not just seemed cool at the time, but they were talking things that you could relate to. And I don't think the soca music was doing that, especially at the time. Now it has come a long way and evolved with different artists who express and talk about different things in the soca. Calypso at that time seemed like, as much as we respected our Calypso elders and it, is one of the greatest art forms in the world, at that point in time, it seemed like, that was some of our parents' thing, that was our parents' thing. But I have grown to respect it to the point where I am actually considered a Calypsonian myself. I've written many Calypsos over the last few years and entered into competitions, been in Calypso tents, because I started to realize, I fell in love with Calypso as well around the same time, seeing the greats grace the stage of the Marsh Gras Carnival Sunday in Trinidad and Tobago and this sort of thing. And I always say there's a common thread in terms of storytelling.
Yeah.
And double entendre.
Yep.
And as far as I know, Calypso and hip hop are the only two vocal genres that implement extempore, off the top rhymes or delivery. So in Trinidad, in Calypso, you have what is called extempo, or extemporaneous singing. In hip hop, you're freestyling.
Freestyling, yeah.
Right? So as I say, like this, we can, people just try to find more the differences between things. I look at the similarities, and those two genres have such a common thread that is like, to me, is the same thing. Like when I listen, I could listen to David Rudder, the Hammer, telling a story about this man who plays steel pan and the story of the pan, etc. And then listen to Common, I Used to Love Her. It's the same. It's the same storytelling. It's the same, and me just being in love with the art of it, the art of that storytelling and the music. It's like, to me, there ain't no difference. The only difference is in the sound.
Facts.
And the delivery.
And I love that because it's, I noticed the more we move forward, actually, the more we go backwards. And what I mean by that, I mean? Because similarly, like I used to not like jazz. I thought it was weird, old people. Like even I'm Guatemalan, right? So our music is the marimba, the xylophone, right? I love those now. Like I love jazz, my brother. Like probably more than hip hop, respectfully. You know what I mean? And it's just because, but then you start making those connections that they're all part of the African diaspora music. It's all coming from the motherland. You feel me? Chromatics, as we always do in the Know That Show podcast, we invite guests to share something that comes out of their shelf, my brother. Yo, I'm excited about this, man. What you got for us today?
Well, it might seem typical, but hey, I'm gonna show you what I got. Right? So it's not in my shelf, it's on my shelf. Right?
Oh, and they got the woo joint.
So this is, so funny enough, I got these when I was 16 years old. So that means this is damn near, this could be 30 years old.
Wow.
So it's two of them, right? So it's official at the point in time, Techniques 1200s, right? This is the SL 1200 Mark IIs. As I say, I begged, pleaded, bawled to get these. Before I had these, so these are what we call direct drive turntables, right? So the motor in them is a lot stronger than like the household belt drive turntable. So before this, I had two belt drive turntables, and one, like, the belt was stretched. So it used to play slower than the other, so you couldn't really mix and whatnot. So I got one from my uncle and got an old one from somebody else down the road. And yeah, man, I begged for these joints. And funny enough, with regards to the Slipmat, the Wu-Tang Slipmat, I bought these in like my first trip to New York.
Wow.
Yeah. So the turntables, so they mean a lot to me. And then, funny enough, the shelf, like my mom's built this shelf for me. I brought it into the studio because it couldn't really fit in the house no more, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Brought it into the studio for the turntables. We have some records. There are some records there in the shelf, but I gave a lot of my records to my DJ partner who actually DJs for me on my radio show. So he has all the actual 12-inch and 45s and whatnot. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. And you know what's funny? This shit is like gold. The prices of these has never, and it's actually probably more than, you know, than it was when originally bought. You dig?
Yeah, yo, that's gonna be, you know, the Bronx got the museum now, so that's the Trinidadian DJ equipment right now. That got to go in the archives.
Yeah, man, and yeah, so I mean, it just represents, because I started DJing around that time too. Like I remember going to this house party when I was like 15, 16 years old, and it was like the first time I was ever like right next to a DJ, you know, and this guy, and he was like, he brought the entire system and whatnot, and boom, boom, boom. And I was just amazed now. It was like the first time I got to stand up right next to a DJ, like in an event or in a party, and just watching him do his thing. And I just was so amazed. And I was like, nah, I got to get into this. And DJing has informed me, because I was also the MC and the DJ, you know what I mean? And being a DJ has informed me in my performance and my artistry. You know, because when you're a DJ, you have to be able to read the crowd.
Right.
You have to be able to converse without necessarily conversing, and you know, man. So it's informed me in a lot of different ways over my career. You know what I mean? I'm just too busy to get them back up and running, but I'm gonna do it soon, man.
I think you should. Watching you live or something like IG doing that, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Yeah. It's interesting because this is why it's so important to share our stories, man. I can't tell you everything you said about Trinidad, particularly with hip hop, was no different here and what I experienced. Right, being originally from Rhode Island, we started to get the tapes from New York because friends would move from New York and then come back, all that. My first hip hop, I guess, experience of a moment, like the same emotional experience you had with seeing someone DJing. Shout out to my brother DJ Nocturnal. He's Jamaican from my hometown, and I'll never forget. Around the same age, I was 12 years old. I went over to his house, and I actually talk about this in my book. And he pulled it out, literally from the rapping. He goes, "Walt." He pulled out the DJ equipment, and he goes, "I'm gonna do this." And I was like, what? And he's DJed for Fabulous, Cannabis, been all over the world, still DJing in clubs. And yeah, and it's like, I'm always jealous of the DJ on the low, because I dipped and dabbed in all the other elements. MCing, don't sleep. Like tagging, breaking, I've done it. But the DJ, I've never been able to do in my life. And I've always admired the DJ, because as once somebody said, DJ, you saved my life, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Chromatics, I always ask people this question, my brother. I have to. I mean, you're a DJ, you're an MC, you're a hip hopper, you're a family person.
I was a DJ.
You was a DJ. You was a DJ.
I don't out there like I am not anymore. That would be disrespectful to a DJ.
And I was gonna say I might start a ripple effect of the DJs trying to compete with you now. I don't want to start no strife. But you're an entrepreneur. You're all these amazing things. There's a young Chromatic somewhere in the making. May not look like you, talk like you. What's one piece of advice you would give that young person who's trying to follow your path?
Man, I mean, it's a typical answer. Just know that you never stop learning and always seek to learn in whatever it is you're passionate about, if it's music or whatnot. Because I think that my passion to learn and be a sponge and absorb knowledge and thirst for knowledge in music, in different things that I am passionate about, would help me maneuver through it and help me to open certain doors that I might not have been able to open. We're in an age now where you could learn damn near anything for yourself. It's DIY crazy, in this generation of the internet and social media.
YouTube University, Google College.
Yeah. Right. I mean, some things might be misinformation, but for the most part, a lot of it is out there. And I would say that, just work on your craft. Just always, like me getting back right now is just working on my craft, working on these new albums, the EP, the album. It's just sharpening back the pen, you know what I mean? So just keep working on your craft no matter what, trying to just get better and evolve it. And yeah, man, just keep learning. Don't think that you ever know it all or you can't learn something new in any field that you pursue,
Word. I think it was, I had a previous guest and I quoted the Dalai Lama, I think it was. No, it might have been Sanguru, who said, stick around with people who are trying to find the answers, but run away from people who think they found them. Because we're always wrestling, we're always trying to figure out, and you never stop learning. I love that advice. I have, not to boast, I have a doctorate, my dude, I'm still learning. And I honestly, I don't know nothing, man. I'm still learning, my brother, and that's so important. Chromatics, if people want to get in contact with you, reach out to you, collaborate with you, give us all your information where they can connect with you, and share what projects you're working on, all that good stuff that you want to share.
Right. Well, the easiest way is Instagram. That's at Chromatics Music. Anything else aside from that, my website, chromaticsmusic.com.
Yes.
All right. Chromaticsmusic.com. It will have all the social media links there anyway. So as I said, yeah, we're doing a lot this year. So the Kobo Sweat EP is out now. Right? It's an EP that I released in lead up into my album. So Kobo Sweat is it's a Trinidad Trinbagonian slang for a very short time, or a very short-lived experience. Hence the name of the EP leading up into the album. So it's like a warm-up, you know what I mean? So that's Kobo Sweat. The EP is out now on my website, available on my website. And then I am doing my album launch, plural launches, in Trinidad, Miami, and New York next month, August. So August 10th is Trinidad, August 17th is Miami, August 24th, when we actually launching the album, is in New York. All of the events are on my website. The events are free to attend once you register for your RSVP ticket, put in your name, email address, and come out. You know what I mean? Come out and enjoy some good hip hop vibes in lead up to the new album that I'm putting out called Hammer and Chisel, that I've been working on for a very long time. But sometimes life is just getting away,
No doubt. But we know one of the best pieces take time, right? Facts. And I like I said, I wish I could be there for that one. I'm gonna be in California when you arrive in New York, but I'll be there in spirit and support this brother right here. Chromatics, as Nori always says in the Drink Champs, shout out. And his podcast, he always gives flowers to people while they're still alive, because I think that's important. My brother, I want to give you your flowers, your dandelions, your tulips, your cannabis plants, whatever you want, because I'm honestly proud of you. I really, I'm humbled every time I get to hear people's stories, because all we are is a reflection of the divine. I am you and I am not you. I am everything you are and nothing that you are, and it's beautiful. And I always think, specifically as men, we don't big each other up. So
Yes,
I want to shout you out and say that I am proud of you, brother, of who you've become, the work you're putting forth. It doesn't go on deaf ears or blind eyes. I salute you, and thank you.
Respect and manners every time, King, and salute to you and all that you have done and continue to do, you know?
Yeah, salute. As we always do in the Know Thy Shelf is we end with a quote. And this one comes to us from Soren Kierkegaard. Forgive me if I mispronounce your name. And it reads as such. To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. To not dare is to lose yourself. Peace, family.
Blessings.
Yeah. I is the daddy. This is what they want, huh? Love. Alright. Eskimo. Welcome to the greatest show on earth. None of them can beat we yet. Where even a state of emergency can't stop me from fed. Like you forget, that's why they want me step in the boot. I's the only man that's balanced the lies and the truth. So from all January I hear them calling my name. Since Yankee Boy was on the parkway and start to complain. Too much dance all in carnival, he claiming that they right. Cause a Vibes Cartel concert, carnival Friday night. He going on hunger strike, that they last a fortnight. He spread out 4 plates of food and make a knife and fork fight.